Look at your hands. They're shaking, aren't they? You're staring at this screen, but your mind is stuck in that room, choking on the insults you didn't answer. You're currently rehearsing the perfect comeback in your head. 3 hours too late. You feel like a coward, a professional victim. I can laugh at your pathetic state, my friend, only because years ago, I was rotting in that exact same chair. I used to swallow my own tongue while some mid-level manager treated me like a stray dog. I was just as blind and spineless as you are right now. You think they're powerful because they're loud. That's your first mistake. You're falling for a scripted routine from the predator's playbook, and you're playing your part perfectly. If your boss or your leader is a uniquely twisted demon, drop the story in the comments. I'll peel back their skin and show you what's inside. But today, we dissect the screamer. This counter-strategy requires you to be incredibly lazy. You will do absolutely nothing. But you will do it with the cold intent of an assassin. At the very end of this video, I will give you the one exact phrase that shatters their control permanently. Watch closely. Here is how they were taught to survive. They don't scream because they're strong, my friend. They scream because they're terrified someone will notice they have no idea what they're doing. Noise is their smokescreen. If they can make the room vibrate with their rage, they can hide the fact that their logic is as thin as a ghost. They aren't leading. They are camouflage experts, hiding a hollow center. Their ultimate goal is simple: to bypass your brain and hit your nervous system. They want your heart to race and your thoughts to scatter like cockroaches when the light comes on. When you're in fight or flight, you're not in analyze the data mode. They need you stupid, trembling, and apologetic. They need you to lose your footing so they can feel like they're standing on a mountain. They use this trick because it has always worked on everyone else. It worked on their parents, it worked on their exes, and up until 5 minutes ago, it worked on you. It's a cheap, repetitive script that has never been challenged. But today, they will remember this day as their end. But before I give you the antidote, you need to see the trap in action. You need to recognize the exact moment the predator thinks they've caught their prey. If you don't see the teeth, you won't know how to pull them. Look closely at the scene you know all too well. Picture it. Monday morning. The air is already heavy with the smell of burnt coffee and failure. The office banshee slams the door. They don't just walk in, they invade. They're looking for a target to dump their weekend's worth of self-loathing onto. And your desk is the designated landing strip for their misery. Look at them, veins popping in their neck like angry snakes. Their eyes are wide, bloodshot, and devoid of any actual intelligence. Their spit is flying, and they look like an overinflated balloon about to burst from the pressure of its own ego. In any other context, they would look insane. But because they have a title on a door, you call it leadership. This is unacceptable. How could you be so incompetent? Do I have to do everything myself? Listen to the words, my friend. They're throwing a tantrum. It's a 3-year-old's rage wrapped in a cheap polyester suit. They aren't talking about the work. They are talking about their own fear of being found out. Your instinct is to defend. You want to explain that the report was late because the server crashed or the client changed their mind. Stop. That's the fatal paradox. Every word of explanation you give is just more blood in the water for them to sniff. You think you're being reasonable, but you're actually just giving them more surface area to hit. Welcome to the volume to victim cycle. It's a 3-act play they've performed 1,000 times, my friend. If you don't know the script, you're just a prop. If you do, you're the director. They start as the predator, transition to the bait setter, and end as the martyr. It's a closed loop designed to keep you spinning until you're too dizzy to see the exit. Phase 1. The explosive outburst. This is the predator phase. They aren't actually out of control. They are testing your boundaries. They use volume like a blunt instrument to see if you'll fold. If you flinch, they win. If you apologize, they own you. They are hunting for your submission, using noise as their primary weapon. Phase 2. The bait. This is the most dangerous part. They stop screaming for a split second and wait. They are begging you to shout back. Why? Because the moment you raise your voice, you become the problem. Now they have proof that you are the aggressive one. They are fishing for a reaction to justify their next move. Phase 3. The victim flip. I'm just under so much stress. I'm the only one who cares about this company. Suddenly the monster is crying. They want you to feel guilty for making them scream. They use their own emotional instability as a shield. If you comfort them now, you've just signed a contract to be their punching bag forever. Trying to argue with them during this cycle is like pouring gasoline on a wet log. You think your logic will put out the fire, but you're just providing more fuel. They don't want a solution, my friend. They want a sacrifice. They want your peace of mind as an offering to their own shattered ego. Now, for the lazy antidote. Phase 1. The empty chair gaze. When they start their performance, you do absolutely nothing. You don't defend, you don't interrupt, and you don't look them in the eye. Treat them like a piece of furniture that's making an annoying buzzing sound. You aren't listening to a boss. You're observing a glitch in the office equipment. There is a specific science to this. When you look someone in the eye during a scream, you are engaging in an energy transfer. You are giving them a target. By refusing to lock eyes, you are denying them the hit they crave. You are essentially telling their lizard brain that they aren't important enough to look at. If you must look at them, look at their forehead, right between the eyes, just above the brow. This is a subtle psychological dominance move. It makes them feel like a specimen under a microscope. It triggers a primal sense of submissiveness in the screamer. They will feel like something is off, and their confidence will start to leak out of their boots. They will sense the shift. They'll get even louder for a second. That's the extinction burst. Then they'll pivot. Are you even listening to me? Say something. Why are you just standing there? This is the moment they realize their script has been burned. They are panicking because the prey has stopped acting like prey. This is where you drop the first weight. You speak slowly. You speak softly. You say, I'm waiting for you to finish. Are you done? That's it. No explanation, no defense. You are treating their rage like a toddler's tantrum. You are the adult in the room, and you are waiting for the child to tire themselves out. The silence that follows is deafening. To a predator, silence is a vacuum, and they are suffocating in it. They were prepared for a war of words, but you've given them a desert. Their brain is frantically searching for a new script, but the pages are blank. They're standing in the middle of the office, realized they've just made a fool of themselves, and you're just watching. This is the transition, my friend. You are no longer the prey. You are the scientist, and they are the lab rat who just realized the maze has no cheese. Don't get angry. Don't get sad. Get curious. Watch how their hands twitch. Watch how they try to fix their hair. You're not being attacked. You're observing a fascinating psychological breakdown in real time. Now use the heavy silence. After they answer or stop talking, count to 5 in your head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep your face as blank as a fresh sheet of paper. Those 5 seconds will feel like 5 hours to them. In the professional world, the person who speaks first after a long silence is the one who's lost control of the room. In those 5 seconds, their brain is forced to do something it hates. It has to listen to the echo of its own scream. Without your voice to drown it out, their own ugliness is the only thing they can hear. They start to realize how pathetic they sounded. The silence isn't just empty space. It's a mirror you're holding up to their face. And they hate what they see. Now we apply the emotional mirror. If they are a hurricane, you are a frozen lake. This isn't about being nice. It's about contrast. By staying perfectly still, you make their behavior look like a psychiatric emergency. You aren't arguing. You're highlighting their insanity simply by existing in a state of absolute calm. Well, we just need to fix this. It's a priority. Notice the change. The volume has dropped. The predator has lost its teeth. They're trying to find a way back to a professional conversation because the screaming didn't get them the hit they wanted. They're confused, off balance, and suddenly very, very small. But don't relax yet. Now comes the pivot. They'll try to bond with you. They'll try to rewrite the last 10 minutes of abuse as passionate leadership. They need you to agree that their outburst was justified so they can stop feeling like a monster. This is where they try to put the leash back on with a smile. You know I'm only hard on you because I care about the results. We're a team, right? It's a classic lie. They don't care about the results. They care about the dopamine hit they get from dominating you. They're testing to see if you'll let them off the hook. If you nod, you're telling them that they can scream at you again next Tuesday, as long as they apologize afterward. Here is your counterphrase. It is cold, it is professional, and it is devastating. Your tone made the results irrelevant. Let's talk when you're regulated. You aren't insulting them. You're stating a fact. You are telling them that their passion is actually just a lack of self-control. You've just diagnosed them as emotionally unstable in front of the whole office. From this moment on, treat their outbursts like background noise, like static on a radio or a barking dog behind a fence. It's there, but it's beneath your notice. When you make a screamer invisible, you take away the only thing they have, their audience. Without an audience, the predator is just a lonely person making noise in a dark room. This silence makes you the most terrifying person in that office. Why? Because people are predictable, my friend. They scream, you cower. They shout, you argue. But a person who looks at a screaming predator with the boredom of a man watching paint dry? That is an anomaly. You've become a black hole for their ego. They can't read you, they can't trigger you, and therefore, they can't control you. The predator finally realizes the prey has teeth. Not the kind that bite back in a shouting match. Those are messy and weak. You have the teeth of a silent trap. They see you looking at them, unblinking, and they realize that for the first time in their pathetic career, they are the one being judged. They are the one under the microscope. Their power hasn't just vanished. It has been transferred to you. Don't fall for the victim flip when it inevitably comes. When they start sighing, rubbing their temples, or mentioning their blood pressure, don't offer them a glass of water. Don't offer an apology. That is the moment they try to regain the high ground through pity. Stay cold. If you comfort them now, you're just rewarding them for the scream they just gave you. You don't pet a dog that just bit you. Adopt the veteran's lean. When they finish their tantrum, lean back, put your hands behind your head or rest them loosely on your lap. This posture screams, I am so safe in this room that I don't even need to be on guard. It is the ultimate insult to someone trying to intimidate you. You are showing them that their greatest weapon, their voice, doesn't even register as a threat to you. And now, for those of you who stayed until the end, you've shown more discipline than 90% of the people in your building. You're ready for the final blow. But before I give you the master key, realize this. Power isn't about who speaks the loudest. It's about who needs the other person less. By being silent, you prove you don't need their approval, their feedback, or their noise. Winning an argument with a screamer is actually losing. If you go down into the mud with them, you've admitted that they are your equal. You've admitted that their playground rules apply to you. By refusing to play, you remain on the pedestal. You remain the person they have to look up to see. Never explain yourself to someone who is currently failing the basic test of being a civilized adult. You are aiming for their psychological bankruptcy. Every time they scream and get no reaction, they lose a piece of their identity. They've spent their whole lives using rage as a currency to buy compliance. When you refuse to sell, their currency becomes worthless. You're not just winning a meeting, you're dismantling the very foundation of how they navigate the world. Here is the master key, the one phrase that ends the cycle forever. When the screaming stops and the silence has settled like dust, look them dead in the eye, or at that forehead, and say, "I can see you're having a difficult moment. I'll come back when you found your composure." That's it, my friend. You've just diagnosed them as a child in front of themselves. You didn't argue. You didn't shout. You simply observed their failure and opted out of the chaos. You're a monster now, in the best possible way. You're the one who can't be broken. Go back to your desk, sit in that chair, and enjoy the silence you've finally earned. They'll think twice before they open their mouth around you again. Or they won't, and you'll get to watch the show all over again. Either way, you've already won. Now get out of here. We're done.